This year, we're scheduled to do about $10 million in revenue.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that's pretty good. And we started this off with about $2,000. Hello, my name is Matthew. I'm currently in college. I'm 19, and about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I started my own business. We sell computer components, like main components such as, CPUs, GPUs, RAM, all that kind of stuff. And we kind of started from the very beginning. So let me explain a little bit about what I mean, like the very beginning, right? It was like my senior year of high school. And then I get approached from my friend to join this new business of his that he was planning on setting up, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but it evolved into something really big and something that, well, I'll just say that for later on. But so we started by going on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Close5, all those resell websites. And we started basically just searching for anything GPU, right? Because GPUs have the most high residual value in the market. So we started with GPUs. And what we would do is we would basically set up times to meet these guys on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, etc. And we would always negotiate the price down to a point which would make sense for us, right? So let's say we could resell back in the day a 1080 for $400, right? Well, we would negotiate him down to about 325 or 350 around that ballpark. So we have shipping and the PayPal fee accounted for. And then we would pick up the GPU, we'd pay him, and then we would come back to our warehouse, and then we would take the GPU apart, we'd repaste it, we'd basically refurbish it and make sure that it's brand new. And then after that, we would test it and we'd make sure that it works and everything, so that way when we sell it to our customer, they'd be happy with it, right? And we'd sell for them at a fair price, a market price, and basically the gist of it was if you bought from us, we had a 30-day return policy, so if it didn't work, you could return it to us hassle-free. And then you also knew that the GPU was working. Because a lot of times if you met up with these guys from Facebook Marketplace or like Craigslist, you could take the GPU, but it could be a dud. It couldn't work, it could be bricked. You don't know whether or not that works unless you actually test it there. And then if you don't test it further, it could also have other problems such as artifacting. So basically the guarantee of buying through us was that you knew that the GPU worked and that you'd be getting your money's worth. Also, back in the day, we would only, or when we were starting this out, we would only sell on Reddit, on r/hardware swap. And we actually became so big to the point where the mods disliked us because of how much how much we were making, and they were just trying to give us the hardest time and everything, trying to keep us from selling, taking down our posts and everything, which was against the group's rules, but they're moderators, so they can do anything that they want. And at one point, it got so bad that we actually threatened to serve him a lawsuit.
Okay, so how did you get from there to having a full business?
It was months of just doing that, right? And this is back when I was in high school. So I would go to school during the day, and then after that, I would go over to our office in El Monte, and then I basically just start working and searching for these graphics cards, searching for the best deals, searching and negotiating. And it wasn't exclusive to just when I was in the office. I would be also doing this during like stat class. I remember my stats teacher must have hated me because he had to tell me to put away my computer so many times because I'm constantly just searching through like Marketplace and Craigslist just to find these graphics cards. And so it was basically what were 80-hour work weeks for me because I was always on schedule, and then after that I would have to drive to Manhattan Beach or sometimes even further than that just to get one GPU and then refurbish it and then sell it. So it was a long it was a long time of doing that, at least like let's say 6 to 8 months ish of doing just that and building up enough capital to the point where we could enter the retail space. And instead of focusing on just refurbished cards, we would also now order from distributors, and we could sell new devices that are still in box and everything, and basically become essentially a Best Buy focused on only PC components or Micro Center online.
So how much is the company worth now?
Usually you don't really get an evaluation until more investments sort of happen, and you have to have investors coming out and they're asking you how much you're worth, or you know to calculate everything out. But this year we're scheduled to do about $10 million in revenue.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that's pretty good. And we started this off with about $2,000. So yeah,
That's incredible.
a couple of years and a lot of work later, we're here.
What are your end goals for it?
The end goal is to not necessarily just, be another retailer like Best Buy or Micro Center in this space, right? Because, anyone can do that. If you have enough capital and you have enough knowledge in the space, you can easily just go out to any distributor, or not easily, but you can go out to any distributor, fill out their application, and then basically get accepted and then sell these PC parts brand new. So that's not anything new that people have been doing. Like I said, Best Buy's been doing it, Micro Center's doing it. So we don't really bring anything new to the table, right? But that's what we're focused on right now is building PCs. So pre-builts basically. What CyberPower does, and oddly enough, or funny enough, CyberPower is right next to our office. Like it's a mile down the road. But so the idea is omakase. I'm butchering that, but it's called an omakase idea basically. Do you know what omakase is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so omakase, let's say you're in Japan, right? And then you go into a sushi bar and then you don't know what you want, but you trust the chef. The chef basically curates a whole entire meal for you, one by one, and then they give it to you to make sure that it's tailored to you. And so we pulled that idea, that concept, and now we're working on our pre-built business. So basically, we're structuring our PC building business once it gets big enough to be a subsidiary under our regular PC components business. And then after that, we talk to the customer. They send us a list of what they want to use it for, such as like, oh, I want to use it for streaming. I want to use it for schoolwork, editing, etc. So we can really tailor the components to them. So the end goal for this whole entire PC pre-built business of ours is to tailor the pre-built to the customer so that they don't have to overspend or upsell or be upsold on anything like, Dell does. If you watched Linus's video on that.
Oh my god, the Dell pre-builts.
Yeah. So it's basically saving the customer as much money as they can while also giving them the best performance they need. Because a lot of these customers, they don't know a lot about PCs. They don't know what a 3080 is, they don't know what a 1060 is, they don't know what a 10700K is. So being able to share that knowledge and customize a PC just for that customer really it makes, I wouldn't say the world a better place, but it just makes everyone a little bit more happy.
Okay, so you said the first couple of months was just selling from Craigslist and stuff. How did you get in contact with the industry partners first?
Okay, so the way we did it, right, is we started ordering from our nearest distributor in City of Industry, right? And it turns out this is going to be a long one. let me think about this because it's going to take a long story to explain this. Okay, normally as a customer, you don't really think about what goes on behind the scenes, but there's actually a lot that goes through just to get that product from the manufacturer into your hands. So it goes from the manufacturer, right? And then after the manufacturer, it goes to the distributor. And then after that, sometimes it can go to another distributor. And that can go on for as long as possible. And then they'll just upsell each other. And then, it's distributor after distributor. But ideally, as a retailer, you want to get to that one distributor. So there's no more distributors. So you're not overpaying for your component. And you can get your customer the lowest price for those components. So ideally, it goes from manufacturer, one distributor, and then to you as the retailer, and then to the customer in their hands. But like I said, that distribution line, that can be enormously long. Like you can get it from some components we found out can go through 6 different distributors. And the distributors are also trying to make money, so they always raise the price more and more and more. So the more distributors it goes through, the more pricier it is for the retailer, thus the more pricier it is for the customer. So ideally, as a retailer, you want to just dim down as many distributors you get through so you can get the best price for your customers.
The higher you are on the supply chain, the more money you can make.
Exactly. The distributors for a lot of these places, or the authorized distributors for, let's say AMD or NVIDIA or Intel, right? They're not like this well-kept secret that no one can find. If you Google AMD distributors, AMD has it on their website. If you Google Intel distributors or authorized distributors, they'll have it on their website. And then you can just literally look them up and then find their website. And then usually you can apply online. But what's keeping a lot of people from doing that is you also need to be a registered LLC or a registered company in the US in order to apply. And so that's what stops a lot of people because they don't know how to register their corporation under whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp, and then have that identification number for their company in order to proceed further with these distributors. And so it's kind of funny how we found our first distributor, or how we found our second distributor, I should say. So we thought back in the day it was like, oh, a well-kept secret, like, oh my god, we found these distributors, like, oh my god, no one else knows. That's stupid. Everyone knows about it. And so we ordered from our first distributor. And the thing is, that distributor actually ordered it from another distributor. And we found out because they left a little sticker on it that said, or that had the address of their other distributor on it. And so normally what they would do is they would cut it off very sneakily, so we don't find out who their distributor is. And then, we wouldn't find it. Someone screwed up over there, and they left the little label on with the other distributor's address on it. So then we found that distributor, and then we just started looking up more and more and more, and then exploring all these other distributors such as Mall Labs or Ingram Micro. There are a shit ton of them out there, and there's a lot of them in Europe as well that we would order from sometimes. But then that's a whole nother deal with having to deal with tariffs and import taxes and all that stuff.
How much money did you need to get your first shipment of new stuff?
I think our first shipment was Intel 10700K. Not too sure, but it was around probably anywhere from 20 to 25K to get that first order in from our distributor.
And you managed to sell all of those parts and make your money back pretty quick?
Yeah, but it's definitely a risk whenever you buy a product from a distributor, right? Because you could buy a CPU that no one wants, and then you're stuck with that product, and it's depreciating on your shelf over time. And so you're basically just losing your money. And then sometimes you get a product that no one wants because your research or your analyst of the market fucked up, and they don't know the market basically. So make sure you get a good researcher. But if they do screw up and then you have those stuck on your shelves, what you need to do is hopefully sell it at a break-even price. Lower it enough to the point where people will actually buy it. But a lot of times that doesn't happen because margins are extremely low in some cases for a lot of these processors or CPUs. So most of the time, if you order something that no one wants, you're going to lose money because you also have to think about shipping costs and then also your packaging, and it's just a whole deal. So you want to make sure that before you buy a product from these distributors, it's actually a product that the market wants.
And you dealt with all of this when you were 17?
17 turning 18. More 18 than anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think any teenager could do something like this if they tried hard enough?
That's when you say, can any teenager do this? Like when we started out, we had $2,000, right? Or less than $2,000 actually, like a little bit less than that. Is that assuming that they have, like, let's say 20K or 25K just laying around of, let's say, their hard-earned money or daddy money, right? Or is this assuming that they only have like $2,000?
Let's say that I have $5,000 in my bank account. Could any teenager like me do that?
You could definitely work yourself up to be able to get to the point where you build out a retail business, but you definitely have to start somewhere else to generate that money in order to make your first purchase from a distributor. So for us, we didn't have 20K just laying around or 25K just laying around. So what we did was we just went around refurbishing cards and then reselling them, making sure that people were happy with them, that they were happy with the overall experience with us. But other than that, if you're determined enough and you keep opening the right doors and you just have a bit of luck by your side, I think pretty much anyone can do this. There's not anything like really special that we're doing. We're just selling on our own website, Amazon and eBay, and getting into Walmart Marketplace right now. And yeah.
Is there anything that someone who wants to start a business as a teenager should know?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Just fucking go for it. I mean, most of the times I found out that people like me or people that want to start their businesses, they're just laying around, on their bed watching TikToks, watching YouTube, not really doing anything. They're just dreaming about, oh, I want to become this, or I want to have my own business when I'm older. Well, what are the steps you're doing to make that a reality today? Because, you have to start somewhere. You're not just going to magically turn 25 or 30 and then have a fucking $1 million business built up for you. No, you need to start now if you want it, because a lot of times your businesses will fail, and that's not bad. I'm sure people have heard this 1,000 times, but failure is a necessity in business. You need it in order to learn from your mistakes and then grow bigger. But it's important what you do with that failure. It's important to analyze what went wrong, what you could have done better, and basically just analyze your mistakes and then learn from them and not make those same mistakes later on.
If you could do anything differently, what would you?
You know, I'm gonna go a little bit unorthodox here and say, if I were to go back in time and change anything with my business, I probably wouldn't. Just because, like I said before, we've made mistakes, we've made plenty of them, and each one of them was a learning experience. And without them, who knows, our company could have been different today because we didn't learn those mistakes earlier on. Is your dog in your room?
No, my mom
Or
is
your
walking
mom?
in the middle of a recording. Mom, I literally said, hey, I'm going to be recording for the next hour. Oh, it's my dad. Hi.
Oh my god. Tell him I said hi.